It seems like every month there's an announcement about a new startup city being planned. Egypt is well on its way to building a new capital city. Saudi Arabia has a line. Billionaire Mark Lore has a pipe dream of Tolosa. Recently, it became public that a group of prominent tech investors are planning to build a major city between San Francisco and Sacramento. Their objective is to build a bustling metropolis that could generate thousands of jobs and be as walkable as Paris or the West Village in New York. Every time I hear about one of these new cities, I have the same thought. Sounds awesome, but even if it gets built, will it have a vibe, a feel, a sense of place, a sense of culture and richness and uniqueness? Or will it be bland and lifeless? When you see a mock-up of one of these cities, you see a lot of glass walls, steel beams, and gray walkways. The street views from one to the next could almost be interchangeable, like a Starbucks in London looking the same as a Starbucks in Miami. This speaks to an incredible missed opportunity. If you're going to spend billions on a new city, you might as well give it a few touches of life and novelty in the process. I don't often reference Jordan Peterson, but he has an inspiring rant about the pricelessness of beauty and the importance of surrounding yourself with art.
Well, you think about what's happened in Europe over the last 1,000 years, say 2,000 years, this amazing, unbelievable collaboration to make things so beautiful that they're jaw-dropping when you walk into them. And you think about the economic value of that, right? I mean, I think it's either France or Spain that's the most visited country in the world. It's one of those two. I think there's more tourists in France than there are people most of the time. And part of the reason for that is it's just so damn beautiful. You just can't stand it. And you think, what's the economic value of that? It's absolutely incalculable. And what's interesting too is that you build that beauty in, and then the farther away you get from it in time, the more valuable it becomes, right? Instead of decaying, it has exactly the opposite effect. Its value magnifies.
The tech investors in Northern California seem to have the right idea, looking to build a walkable city like Paris. But it can't just be walkable. It needs walkable streets made out of cobblestone, buildings with wood beams and exposed brick, alleyways that are a little seedy. It needs quirky cafes, artist lofts, dimly lit dive bars, bookstores, and record shops. It might even need a red light district. As I've written previously, what is a city without a certain level of seediness, a certain level of illicitness and danger? It's a playground with no slide or sandbox. It's a coffee shop that only serves decaf. It's a highway with a top speed of 25. And another thing, and this is what I really want to talk about. A startup city, to really come to life, needs to have stories associated with it. When I was 21 and about to graduate college, I was desperate to move out of the rainy, gloomy Pacific Northwest. When considering where I should move, I took a lot of factors into consideration, not least of which being the weather. But more than anything, I fell back on the stories that were inspired by the various cities I was thinking about. New York meant Warhol paintings, Velvet Underground songs, and any number of novelists. LA meant Bukowski and a million different movies. San Francisco meant the beats of North Beach and the hippies of Haight-Ashbury. When enough stories about a place accumulate, a sense develops not only of culture, but of mythology. Having a mythology is the key to turning an assortment of buildings and streets into a destination, a larger-than-life place that people are drawn to in order to feel that they're part of something meaningful and timeless. In this respect, startup city developers would be foolish to not hire artists, writers, and filmmakers to craft stories centering around the new city. Even to have an artist take up residence briefly could do wonders for adding meaning to the city's new streets. For example, in Sacramento, where I now live, I'm close to the historic Didion House, where Joan Didion spent much of her youth. This fact brings a strong sense of literary culture to the neighborhood and often becomes a point of discussion among locals. Beyond recruiting artists to the project, developers should also consider building a sense of mythology from whole cloth, creating a new place by copying mythological elements from another place. Some of the most memorable urban places were developed based strictly on mythology. For example, San Francisco's Chinatown was created by a bunch of white guys who built the neighborhood based purely on what they thought a Chinese neighborhood should look like.
It didn't look like China, but it didn't have to. The point was to make Chinatown a built-in feature of the city and a hub of not just trade, but tourism. And it worked.
And of course, there are the palm trees of Los Angeles, which were brought in specifically to create the image of a tropical paradise to entice people to move. And that's not to mention Las Vegas, with its rip-off Eiffel Tower, New York City skyline, Venetian canals, Egyptian pyramids, etc. By compiling these familiar symbols in the middle of the desert, Vegas created something new yet recognizable. Of all the startup cities being planned or developed, Cotina by Disney has a natural edge on any competition because it comes with stories built in. The city will be developed outside Palm Springs in a location described as, quote, a living painting that has ignited the imaginations of many for centuries, including Walt Disney. As Scott Galloway has noted on the Pivot podcast, the affiliation with Disney stories will be an amazing benefit for elderly residents because it will guarantee that their grandchildren will want to visit. Okay, so to the developers, fine. Build some tall glass structures, put in some cement walkways that meander through green space, whatever you have to do to build a modern city on a budget. But while you're at it, put up a few warehouses to serve as artist lofts, hire a popular muralist to go wild with the warehouse walls. Instead of Starbucks coffee shops, bring in the types of cafes that host open mic nights for young musicians and poets. On your narrowest streets, put in a strip club, a nightclub, a dive bar, a cheap hotel, a weed dispensary, a corner store, a 24-hour donut shop, and then recruit Dave Eggers or William T. Volman or someone to live in that cheap hotel for a month and write about how shitty and awful it is. And of course, don't forget public transit. All your hordes of drunk, stoned, partied out artists will need some way to get home at 3 a.m.